The news, well, it just keeps getting worse for embattled Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz. Gaetz, he remains under federal investigation. That is, the Justice Department probes whether or not he paid women for sex and if he had a sexual relationship with a minor, a 17-year-old girl, and whether or not he paid for her to travel with him and violated that or other federal sex trafficking laws. Now, remember, that investigation began last year under then Attorney General Bill Barr and then President Trump. And that's significant because this morning, the New York Times reported that Gaetz, he asked Trump for a blanket pardon before Trump left office, pardons for any crime that he may have committed, and it appears Gaetz knew that the investigation was happening when he made such a request. The Gaetz story is now a week old, and one of the most remarkable parts of it is how few Republicans have gone out of their way to go to bat for Gaetz, who reportedly is despised by many, even in his own caucus. So far, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jim Jordan, the only Republicans to have sounded their support for Gaetz. And even this week, Greene began deleting selfies she has with Gaetz from her social media. Now, that's saying something. Listen. Republicans stepping away here from an embattled, unserious member of Congress, you can understand that, but at the same time, you have a president who just went out of his way, President Trump that is, to give at least tepid support, saying that no such request for a pardon was made to him directly. There may be significance with the parsing of the language there, and that to his point, that Gaetz is innocent until proven guilty. And for more, let's bring in our guest, Brittany Shammas. Brittany, she's one of the many Washington Post reporters who is on this beat. She's kind enough to give us a few minutes. And I'm curious, and I want to get to some of the reporting from Florida that you did, but do you find that more people are shocked about the content of these allegations, or shocked, given Gaetz's reputation, that it's taken this long for a scandal to take him down?
You know, it's a good question. I think Matt Gaetz is somebody who has had this reputation of, pulling kind of outlandish stunts. He's somebody who has been in the headlines quite a bit, as you're aware, I'm sure, wearing a gas mask in the early days of the coronavirus pandemic, and different kind of publicity stunts he's pulled. However, this situation has really, swept him up quickly, and more allegations have continued coming out. So I think, it's surprising in a bit how much this has grown.
And what's also surprising is there was no attempt, it seems, for any apology tour or to attempt to say, listen, while I don't think what I did was criminal, I can understand how it could be upsetting to folks. In fact, he's fundraising off of this and defending his lifestyle, and I'm putting that in quotes. You go back to Florida and his time in the state legislature there, that seemingly, I don't know of a person that would fight the idea of revenge porn and to criminalize it. And by that, somebody sends a private photo of oneself to a partner. If that partner then takes that and widely distributes it, obviously everybody can figure out how damaging that is and what a violation of privacy or confidence it is. Matt Gaetz went out of his way, per your reporting, to defend the practice and say whoever received the photo, that should be their property to do with as they wish. And he was pretty strident about it.
Yeah, so it's interesting, he was one of only two people in the Florida House to vote against this legislation, which was aimed at preventing people from doing this. And the other person was an ally of his, somebody who was his former roommate. So, back at the time that bill was passed in 2015, there were kind of rumors anonymously being made that he was very opposed to this, but the sponsor of the bill, in light of everything that's going on, has now come forward and said, well, actually, yes, he was absolutely against this bill. He felt that if somebody shares an image like this, then the person they give it to, it's theirs to use it as they see fit, to do what they want with it.
Maybe I'm getting too old, Brittany, but I have teenage daughters, and the scientific term, I think, is the ick factor to all of this, but the idea that he's, I don't know, showing photos of this on the floor. There's reports, I think that you guys did, that he proudly put empty condom boxes outside of his office when it was moving day, and that he brags about these exploits and defends them seemingly. It's just, apparently, at least from the folks I know on the Hill, he does not have, forget about many friends, people outright despise him even within his own caucus right now, and that's not a manufactured narrative. People just, they don't want to be in his company, and certainly they don't trust him. I mean, I think it's telling, you know, they didn't even take it seriously, this pardon request he made, even when Trump was going out the door.
Well, as you mentioned, he hasn't had many defenders, you know, back lining up and coming to his defense in this. I think it's also interesting that this legislation that he was fighting in Florida, you know, it had Republican backing. The sponsor of this bill was a Republican. So, you know, he was going against his own party in trying to fight this thing, and apparently fighting it, you know, pretty hard, and to the point where in 2014 it never got out of a committee that he was chairing. So, you know, he was kind of a minority in opposing it.
Do you think him leaving is going to be his own choice? Do you get the sense the drumbeat's building from with his own party? I know McCarthy said they might remove him from committees, as if that would be, you know, suitable, you know, punishment here, even from the ethics side of this. Does he last?
You know, I think it's a really good question. I think he's certainly giving the indication right now that he doesn't want to step down on his own. You know, he hasn't apologized. He's said that this is all a plot against him, that he hasn't done anything illegal. So, I mean, I don't think he's showing signs of wanting to voluntarily step down. So I guess it's just all a matter of what happens, what kind of pressure he faces, what kind of pressure the rest of the party and Congress faces, as far as what happens from here.
I think to be continued is the best way to go for what happens next. Brittany, I appreciate a few minutes. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, folks, when we come back, we as a nation, we're getting vaccinated and doing so faster than anyone imagined. But the vaccine loses its value if no one knows you've gotten your shot. Still, opposition building to the so-called vaccine passports. We've got the latest on that straight ahead.